I'm Jeff West from St. Clair Shores, Lakeshore High School, and we're doing a show called Radio, featuring Thriller, Chameleon, Yesterday, and Georgia on My Mind.
I'm excited to see what these ladies and gentlemen are going to perform for us here tonight. Opening set has a lot of interest in it.
Lakeshore Marching Radio, radio on the beat. You are on listening to the Killer Mix. Here is Thriller by Michael Jackson.
Nice inclusion of the stadium announcer there as the radio announcer. Very clever. Some interesting elements in it. Looking at a lot of the solid form development, we had some readability issues, but there was a lot of internal motion, and I couldn't really tell if we were looking at mass form or solid form. Either way, there was a lot of really fun motion in there. I just couldn't read it as clearly as I would have liked to. Bringing the ladies down stage for a little solo feature. And from a drill design standpoint, nice job of pulling the trumpets and the saxophones down there for a feature. easy lick to play by any means. They seem to be handling it quite well. In the center field, and then layering the guard back there, filling up the field nicely, creating a lot of motion.
Southern Style Spanish Channel.
understand they're from the Lakeshore, from design and from an execution standpoint. I appreciated the clever inclusion of the stadium announcer into the overall program, with the radio announcing, the DJing, if you would. A couple things that I would like to see from this band, or let's not even talk about this band, let's just talk in general. I mentioned that when they had limited responsibilities visually on them, they really did put some good air through the horn and play with a good full sound, just this type of sound that every band director wants his or her band to have. When they started to move, I think that sound started to suffer. And it gets back to understanding what your responsibilities are when you're on the field as the individual, because first the individual has to be strong, and then we can build out the band from that strong individual. As I'm watching this band come off the field, they definitely do have a defined foot style and upper body carriage that didn't always convey onto the field. So, perhaps this is a group that changes its show from time to time, or perhaps this is a group that hasn't had a chance to really go back and clean some things. Body orientation, groups that I work with hear this ad nauseum to them. Body orientation and feet are what is going to dictate how well you play. Unfortunately, that's the reality of marching band. So let's look at some simple things that we can do to clean up our ensembles. Just real easy things. Talking about body orientation. The easiest thing that you can do when you're cleaning drill or working music, continuity on the field, is tell your kids something as simple as, I've got a flashlight, sorry I'm banging my mic there, I've got a flashlight in my sternum, and what I want to do anytime during that field, they need to know where that flashlight is shining. In most cases, it's going to be right to the front sideline. At high impact moments, you might want to shine that flashlight up to the press box. It's just an easy way to get the students to understand where they want the upper body presented. Back in the day, we used to teach shoulders. Make sure your shoulders are parallel. Make sure you're pulling the shoulder around. It's a lot easier just to give them one thing to think about and tell them to point that in a particular direction. You can work this in your basics block quite easily, marching straight forward, doing slides, doing hip shifts and whatnot. Just make sure that they're always aware of where the upper body is pointing, because that is the first and foremost thing that people are going to see when they're watching your program on the field. From there, you can work your way down the body. Start to define things like, are you going to do a knee lead or a straight leg march or some hybrid version of both? Am I going to crank the toes? Am I going to go toe down? Things like that, especially nowadays, now that people don't necessarily wear white pants or spats or white shoes. We're pretty much black from the waist down. Those are the things that are easy to put in later on in the season. Definitely you want to define it, but if you've got one thing to clean, you want to make sure that you're looking at the upper body projection and orientation. This will help you from a standpoint of being able to read the forms, which is extremely important. There are a couple times tonight with some of the ensembles where I couldn't really tell if they were in a solid mass form or in a linear solid form. So getting the upper bodies presented correctly in there will definitely help readability there. The more important aspect of it, though, is if you get the sternum pointed in the right direction, your bell is pointed in the right direction, and then you put the sound where you want it to go, not necessarily spreading it out in different places on the field. Big impact moments in a lot of shows tonight have been lost just because of body orientation, where if all of those directional brass instruments, and even the woodwinds to some degree, if they were pointed in the same direction or aimed at one focal point, then you get the full impact of that sound.